Four seed Maryland takes on 13 seed Grand Canyon in Seattle, 4:35 p.m. tip off. Dion, fun matchup here. This is the third straight tournament that the Grand Canyon Lopes have made, and they're getting a Maryland team that I know faltered in the Big Ten semis, but still been getting really good play out of Big Ten freshman of the year, Derek Queen. They have the Crab Five. They kind of have the whole, I would say they have like the vibes thing around them where it's like, hey, we're not deep. They're actually 315th per Kim Palm and bench minutes nationally. But we got our starting five that we lean on. We got this fun nickname. We got a lottery pick, and we have really good guards who can give you buckets as well. What are you looking for out of this one?
Maryland is gonna win the game. Like that's what I shout out Grand Canyon. Appreciate y'all coming out. 91st on Kempom. That feels pretty good for them. Actually, think this Grand Canyon team's good. They're pretty athletic. They can get up and down the court, run with you. They have a good amount of talent on it. Oddly enough, easily the second best team in Arizona. Easily. I'm not exactly sure what Arizona State's doing to allow all this talent to get to Grand Canyon while they're playing Lord knows who. But I am a Bobby Hurley guy, so we're not going to question it that much. Um, but I think Maryland's one of the best teams in the country. I'm infatuated by this team. I can't quit them as much as I want to quit Maryland. I can't quit Maryland. Derek Queen is I've kind of been nicknaming him lately Baby Jokic. Uh, Baby Jokic. I don't think he'll ever be Nikola Jokic. I think he's much more likely to be like Derek Lively in the NBA. But at the college level, he has a lot of Jokic to him. Uh, I don't really know how you can get past everything Maryland has. Willard built the perfect team. He just got that extension, $50 million practice facility plus the extra NIL funds. Maryland's building something special here. But most importantly, like they're just one of the best teams in the country. This is a really, 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 really like rough draw for Grand Canyon. This is like Maryland as a four seed makes no sense to me.
I'm with you pretty much all across the board on that. I think if there was any hope for Grand Canyon, it's in their defense. They're super athletic along the perimeter. They just have like good positional size and guys who get up under you, for lack of a better term. Whether you're looking at like Ray Harrison, who's 6'4", Micaiah Williams, who can be bothersome, and Tyon Grant Foster, who was this time last year was like considered a early second round prospect who came back to school and dealt with health concerns throughout this year. But he's like a true high major caliber athlete. Will get a chance in the league. However, when you look at this Maryland team, they're sixth nationally per both KenPom and T rank in defense. They've just been disgusting, especially down the stretch. Like they are, I mean, you look at their last 10 Big Ten games. The only team that scored over a point per possession on them was Michigan in the Big Ten semis. Like they are completely cutting off the water on teams. And I think just with the size advantage in the front court with both Julian Reese, who apparently now is going by Juju, which I love, weigh in on that if he's Juju Reese now, and Derek Queen. I just foresee those guys. What'd you say? Huh?
So I think I'm not on that.
I am. I'm very in on Juju. Um,
I'm not on that. I get it. I get it. He's trying to recruit Juju to Chicago to play with his sister. I get the
yeah,
angle. I
right,
respect
right.
that. I
It's a
respect that. I
it's a
think I'm
bit
out on him being called
it's a big brain chestnut checkers by Julian. But yeah,
Juju.
I trust just with their size advantage, they're gonna be able to cut off possessions and keep Grand Canyon off the offensive glass, which like this Grand Canyon team for all of its talent, for as high pedigree as its backcourt is. I mean, Ray Harrison was the WAC player of the year, I believe, 2 years ago. They can't really shoot. And for team like, dude, even looking at their roster, you see like Grant Foster's 21% on the year. Jacoby Coles, who was made the first team all WAC, 31% from three. Ray Harrison, former player of the year, 34% from three. Like no one on this team has made more than 39 threes in a season. And if you can't shoot, you want to get on the offensive glass to extend your possessions, but Maryland's not going to let them do that. You hinted at this, but I think it's a bad matchup for the Lopes, and maybe they can keep it close for a half. But once it hits like the under 15 second half, I'm expecting Jacoby Gillespie and them dudes to just hit the gas pedal and run away with this one.
I mean, they shoot 37% from three. They hold you to 30%. There's your difference because you got Julian. You have Julian and Derek down low. Like it reminds me a lot of like a Florida team where it's like, hey, they have one of the best guard trios in the country. Oh, by the way, they'll also beat you up on the interior.
Yeah.
And it's just like, where are you going to actually beat Maryland? They do have a good guard trio. It's not Florida's, which is the difference between Florida, in my opinion, the
Hmm.
best team in the country, and Maryland, who I also think is the top 10 team in the country, but there's a stark gap between the two. But if you told me that Derek Queen had a bunch of shooting around him, Julian Reese had a bunch of shooting around him, it's
Hmm.
like, how do you beat this team? Because you can't double and trap necessarily. Their high post game is going to be phenomenal, high
Hmm.
low. And if you overhelp, kick out, bang, bang.
Yep.
So I don't really know what you do with Maryland. Unfortunately for them, I made the Florida comparison. They do get Florida in the Sweet 16. So that's what you do with Maryland. You just give Florida.
I love that comp as sort of like, I mean, even calling them Aldi brand Florida might be too much of an insult. I don't mean it that way, but they are sort of Florida light in the way, just in terms of the construction with the bigs. Where they become Florida light is the lack of depth. Florida can just throw waves of big men at you, and I think I'm expecting that to happen to see this Maryland Florida matchup in the Sweet 16, and it's funny, I could see that being the type of game where Maryland hangs around for a half before Florida wears them down just with their depth and the amount of bodies they can throw at you. Of course, to get there, they got to get past Grand Canyon first. I think we both expect them to. Dion, do you have any inclination about how this game might play out in terms of a final score?
um,
Ken Palm likes Maryland by 14, if for
yeah.
any context.
I think that's easy money. I think Maryland scores 85, 63 Maryland.
I like a 20-point dub as well. Man, it's been a while like since Maryland. They haven't been like big time scorers throughout conference play. I blame that on the Big Ten more. I think this Grand Canyon team wants to run. You hit at that on the beginning. It's going to be probably a higher possession game than we saw for the Terps throughout Big Ten play. But I mean, if you have Jacoby Gillespie leading the break with Rodney Rice, Elton Miguel flanking him, and you have, I mean, whoever I mean, you can use Derek Queen as your trail big in that situation. Like I think even if I don't think necessarily view the Terps as like a running gun team, but I think they can do that much better than Grand Canyon can. So yeah, I'm with you. I think the Terps roll in this one, even though it might be a little interesting for a half. But yeah, come after halftime, I think we see the Terps take off.